Hi, I'm Nompendulo Shabango and I mostly go by Noms. I just wanted to thank you for joining me on today's installment where we talk all things communication. So you can imagine, as a communications consultant, one of the questions that I get the most, which is very simple but actually quite relevant, is how do I practically grow my communication skills? This is a very important question because in as much as we can talk about the benefits of communication, the benefits of growing your communication skills, that is actually not going to help any of us unless and until we learn what are the necessary steps that we can actually take towards getting to that place, right? And so I'm going to make it very easy and I'm going to make it very simple because it actually really is. And like I often like to say that, I'm here because I sincerely believe in the fact that communication skills actually can be learned, right? So the first thing obviously is to acknowledge the area in, the area that you have a communication gap in. So for some people that may be, in the written form. For other people, it might be in the public speaking. For other people, it might even be in like their personal lives. It really depends. And so you need to know and identify which area it is that you need to grow in, right? So for me, I'll give an example with me because I think it's going to be easiest to actually talk about and to be able to explain a bit more about. So I tend to say that because I'm in the field that I'm in, I find myself giving a lot of presentations. I find myself talking to quite a number of people and just, giving out all of this information all the time. It does not always give me the opportunity to actually hear what other people are saying. So when I was getting ready to go into 2022, I looked at this and I thought to myself, if there's one area that I think I need to grow in, is the area of listening. Because one of the things that people don't always realize is the fact that listening is just as much a part of communication as speaking is. A lot of us tend to focus on, I want to be this proficient speaker, I want to be this prolific speaker, I want to grow my oratory skills. But one of the things that we do not realize that listening is just as important, actually far more important than speaking, because I always quote this, as long as you're still speaking, you are not learning anything new. I learned this from a gentleman called Pastor Rick Snow. He said that and it revolutionized my life. I'm someone who's always been, quite an avid reader. I'm someone who's always liked standing in front of people and actually delivering information, and messages and stuff. And I remember that particular time when he said that, it absolutely revolutionized my life because I realized that I need to be twice as much of a listener as I am a speaker. And so maybe for you, it is in the area of public speaking. Maybe when you're sitting in the boardroom and you're asked for an opinion, you don't know how to properly articulate that. Perhaps your palm starts getting sweaty, you get scared, just the thought of standing in front of people and having all of those eyes looking at you can be quite scary for you. And so that's why I'm saying that because you're the one person who lives with yourself all the time, you work, when you are at work, you are with yourself. You know yourself. You know the feedback that you've been given. You know the areas that really frighten you when it comes to communication. And so it's very important for you to be real with yourself and to say, what, I need to take steps to actually grow in this area. I realize that with the area of communication, most people tend to think that, it's just a gift and, it's either you're gifted at it or you're not. And yes, it is true. While some people may actually be gifted, it does not mean that you cannot grow it as a skill. Grow it to a point where you yourself become gifted at it. I tend to look at life in this long line to say, what, we have this life right before us, whether it be short or long, but we have this life before us. And life is way too long for us to not grow in certain areas, such as the area of communication. One of the things that I'm really passionate about is helping people go from one level to the next. For instance, one of the things that I do is I edit people's books. And it would absolutely break my heart when I would read someone's book and I find that it has so many errors, and the overall message is good, but people can be turned off just by seeing all of these spelling errors or seeing something that could have been worded a certain way being delivered differently, right? And so that's one of the ways that I actually started on this journey of helping people in their communication. So it's not that they didn't have a message to deliver, it's just that they didn't always have the most effective way of delivering this message, and that is where I come in. So when you actually acknowledge that this is the area that I need to grow in, it makes things so much easier, because you know that, okay, fine, this is the area that I want to grow in, and because you've already identified it, then you're able to now take the necessary steps, whether it be through reading or watching YouTube videos like this, because you want to grow in your communication. There are so many different things that you can do that will help you grow in your communication. So that was the first thing. The first thing is that you need to identify and acknowledge the area that you need to grow in. Now, I will emphasize, it's very easy to say, I need to grow in so many areas of my communication. But, like what doctors normally ask, even if you have pain all over the body, usually they're more interested in finding out where does it hurt the most. And that's one of my questions in my discovery sessions, is trying to figure out, which area do you feel that needs, which area do you feel needs the most attention right now? So look at that, zero in on that, and you focus on that. Okay? So that's the first thing. And the second thing that we need to do is to read. I know people don't really enjoy reading, but we need to read. I'll go back to my point of listening. How many of you have actually ever written anything, let's say on social media, on Facebook, and people maybe got to the first 2 lines, and then they went on to ask questions that you already have provided the information for in the midst of the entire write-up that you had put up on social media? That's because people don't actually read. Sometimes people watch a video and maybe you're talking about a certain event that you're getting ready to have, and they just watch like maybe the first couple of seconds of the video because that's what interested them, and then they get bored easily because our attention spans as people actually is low, we know that, right? And then people just don't watch the entire video, and then what do? They rush to the comments to ask you a question that has already been answered in the video. And that's one of the things where I realized that now that I have listening as one of my primary goals in 2022, it has really opened up my eyes. It has really caused me to be observant. It has caused me to be a bit more patient in listening to people, in spending time with people, in stopping to actually hear what they're saying, as opposed to what I think they're saying, or as opposed to interrupting them and assuming what it is that they're going to be saying, right? So it's very important for us to actually read, because when you read, you grow automatically. When you read, reading is like traveling. I love reading. Reading is like traveling. You get to explore multiple worlds at a time without actually going there. And so I really want to encourage you. I want to challenge you to read. I know that it takes up a lot of time. I know that it takes up a lot of effort, but even just setting a goal to read one book, maybe that you'll finish in 2 months, that is actually quite a big deal if you're someone who's not been used to reading for the longest time. And, read far and wide. Don't only read things maybe that are in alignment with your profession. Read a fictitious book, a fictional book. Read newspapers, read magazine articles, and then also definitely read up on the area that you want to grow in. So if you want to grow in public speaking, for instance, look up articles on Google. Search for those articles on Google that will help you improve your public speaking skills, right? And then the third thing that I wanted to say is that identify people that you look up to when it comes to communication. Some of my favorite speakers include Barack Obama. I think you probably know this by now. It's not only, the way that he speaks, but even just the content of what he says. And then there's this fictional character, which I sternly believe, I'm ready to write a petition that she needs to be brought to life. And her name, I mean, in the series, she's called Elizabeth McCord, but she's really Tia Leone. And I absolutely love her, you know, from the series Madame Secretary. And I love her. I love the way that she speaks. I love the fact that she has a speechwriter. I mean, how cool is that? But it's just her poise and her delivery of her messages. So I watch her, and she's one of my role models, even though she doesn't actually exist in real life. But I'm always just so enamored whenever I hear her speaking. So it's important for you, let's say for instance, if you're wanting to grow in the area of writing, that you identify an incredible writer and you ask yourself, why is it that I'm so attracted to their craft? What is that one specific thing? Is it the way that, you know, they form their storyline? Is it the way that they keep you in suspense? You know, or if maybe it's a public speaker, you know, like I'll give an example with Barack Obama. Is it his fancy accent? You know, and I normally tell people that, you know, effective communication is not about your accent. It's about the content that you have. You know, so it really doesn't matter the accent that you have. It's about ensuring that you deliver your message efficiently and effectively. So that was the next thing on my list, is that you need to identify someone, because at least when you're identifying someone, it doesn't mean that you're going to be talking like them. You know, in our day and age, Bishop T.D. Jakes, who's a pastor at the Potter's House in Dallas, Texas, he's known as one of the best speakers of our time. You know, and I mean, his voice rumbles and he'll, you know, just grab your attention. Just because you love him and just because you enjoy him, does it mean that you need to be speaking the way that he does or copying absolutely everything that he does? No. But there are certain things that you can learn from him. You know, maybe his confidence and the fact that he really appears well read, which I'm believing he most certainly is, for him to have gotten to the level that he's gotten. So you also can grow your own style. You know, you might be a soft-spoken person and all you need to do is just maybe to elevate your voice a bit more, you know, but then you need to fully embrace your style of speaking and run with it. And the fourth thing that I wanted to mention is watch content online. You know, whether it be on TikTok, whether it be on YouTube, just as you're doing right now, or on Instagram or wherever. You know, right now we have internet at our disposal. We have information at our disposal. It's so easy for us to get information. And I was pleasantly surprised just a couple of days ago when I was on TikTok and I came across this duo. I don't know if they're a couple in real life or not, but I came across this duo and they are talking about improving your communication. You know, they talk about, you know, certain things that you need to learn in English. So in as much as TikTok may primarily be for entertainment, I was actually getting educated as I was being entertained, because that is one of my goals as well. I want to constantly be growing in this area of communication and not just take it lightly to say, okay, I'm a specialist in this area, so I've learned all that I can learn. No, I want to constantly be learning. So in as much as we spend time on Instagram, we spend time on other forms of social media, let's spend time not only entertaining ourselves, but also educating ourselves. And then the next thing that I want to say is you can actually do things like signing up for communication coaching. I know that there's quite a number of coaches around. We have, you know, just different organizations that offer public speaking and other forms of communication coaching. I myself, through Karabo Media and Communication Consultancy, offer one-on-one coaching, you know, communication coaching to help people so that they can have a specially curated program that is going to help them in their specific communication need, you know, their area of need. So it's not like a one-size-fits-all. I want to be able to relevantly help people. So when you do something like this, it's not just spending your money and not seeing any returns. It's actually an investment, because communication is something that touches on every area of our lives. Actually, research reveals that people who communicate well actually have a more competitive edge in their professional lives. So take note of that. And last but definitely not least, I want to say, get out of your comfort zone and actually have fun while you're doing it. It doesn't have to be all dreary and, oh my goodness, it's something that you actually dread. get out of your comfort zone. You know what? Learning how to improve your communication skills can be quite daunting. It's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world, but it is something that is possible. Otherwise, I would not be here. So with that being said, I believe that we have gotten to the end of the segment. I hope that everything that I've said has actually resonated with you and is something that you feel that you can apply pretty much immediately. I like to say that let's connect here on YouTube. Make a comment. If there's something that you'd like me to clarify even further on, please let me know. If there's a question that you have that is communication related, please let me know. If there's something that you've read that you need maybe more information, again, just let me know.